How long does it actually take to form a new habit? Habit formation is a process by which a behavior becomes progressively more automatic through repetition. I'm sorry, I forgot to say out the script. Welcome to the Wednesday meeting of the Better Living Group. My name is Akash, and I'm eager to live a better life. Currently, we are reading from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and we are on the subheading of chapter on page number 117 of chapter 1, to actually form a new habit. And so text to read is shared through preamble. The primary purpose of the Better Living Group is to carry its message to the person who is eager to live a better life. We alter our lives with balanced living. There are no dues or fees for the membership. Guiding principles I'm going to skip and I'm going to start reading right away. Welcome, folks. How long does it actually take to form a new habit? Habit formation is a process by which behavior becomes progressively more automatic. Through repetition, the more you repeat an activity, the more the structure of your brain changes to become efficient at that activity. Neuroscientists call this long term potentiation, which refers to the strengthening of the connection between neurons in the brain based on the recent patterns of our activity. With each repetition, cell signaling improves and the neural connection tightens. First described by neuropsychologist Donald Hebb in 1949, this phenomenon is commonly known as Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together wire together. Repeating a habit lead to a clear physical change in the brain. In musicians, the cerebellum, critical part of for physical movements like plucking a guitar string or pulling a violin elbow, is larger than it is in the non-musicians. Mathematicians, meanwhile, have increased gray matter in their inferior potential lobule, which plays a key role in computation and calculation. Its size is directly correlated with amount of time spent in the field. The older and more experienced the mathematician, the greater the increase in game matters. When scientists analyzed the brains of taxi drivers in London, they found that the hippocampus, a region of the brain involved in the spatial memory, was significantly larger in their subjects, that is, non-taxi drivers. Even more fascinating, the hippocampus decreased in the size when the driver retired. Like the muscles of the body responding to the regular weight training, particular region of the brain adopts as they are used and atrophy as they are abandoned. Of course, the importance of the repetition is establishing habits was recognized long before neuroscientists began poking around. In 1860, the English philosopher George H. Lewis noted, in learning to speak a new language, to play a musical instrument, or to perform unaccustomed movements, great difficulty is felt, because the channels through which each sensation has to pass have not become established. However, no sooner has frequent repetition cut a pathway than this difficulty vanishes. The actions become so automatic that they can be performed while the mind is otherwise engaged. Both common sense and scientific evidence agree. Repetition is a form of change. Each time you repeat an action, you are activating a particular neural circuit associated with that habit. This means that simply putting in your reps is one of the most critical steps you can take to encoding a new habit. It is why the students who took tons of photos improved their skills, while those who merely theorized about perfect photos did not. One group engaged in active practices, the other in passive learning. One in action, the other in motion. All habits follow a similar trajectory from effortful practice to automatic behavior, a process known as automaticity. Automaticity is the ability to perform a behavior without thinking about each step, which occurs when the non conscious mind takes over. It looks something like this. On the y-axis, it's the automaticity. On the x-axis, it's the repetition. The more repetitions you have, the more automaticity you have. And at one point of time, you will cross that habit line. In the beginning, a habit requires a good deal of efforts and concentration to perform. After a few repetitions, it gets easier, however, still requires some conscious attention. With enough practice, the habit becomes more automatic than conscious. Beyond this threshold, the habit line, the behavior can be done more or less without thinking, and the habit has been formed. On the following page, you will see what it looks like when a researcher tracks the level of automaticity for an actual habit like walking for 10 minutes each day. The shape of these charts, which scientists call learning curves, reveal an important truth about behavior change. Habits formed are based on frequency, not time. Walking 10 minutes per day. The graph shows someone who built the habit of walking for 10 minutes after breakfast each day. Notice the repetition increases, so does the automaticity until the behavior is as easy and automatic as it can. One of the most common questions I hear: how long does it take to build a new habit? Although the people should be asking, how many does it take to form a new habit? This, how many repetitions are required to make a habit automatic. There is nothing magical about time passing with regards to a habit formation. It does not matter when it's been 21 days or 30 days or 300 days. What matters is the rate at which you perform the behavior. You could do something twice in 30 days or 200 times. It's frequency that makes the difference. Your current habits have been internalized over the course of hundreds or thousands of repetitions. New habits require the same level of frequency. You need to string together enough successful attempts until the behavior is firmly embedded in your mind and cross the habit line. In practice, it does not really matter how long it takes for a habit to become automatic. What matters is that you take actions you need to take to make progress. Whether an action is fully automatic is of less importance. To build a habit, you need to practice it. And the most effective way to practice happen is to adhere the third law of behavior change. Make it easy. The chapter that follow will show you how to do exactly that. Chapter summary. The third law of behavior change is to make it easy. The most effective form of learning is practice, not planning. Focus on taking actions, not being in motion. Habit formation is the process by which a behavior becomes progressively more automatic through repetition. The amount of time you have been performing a habit is not as important as the number of times you have performed it. And that concludes the chapter 11. Walk slowly, never backwards. Chapter 12. The Law of Least Effort. In this award winning book, Gun, Germs, and Steel, anthropologist and biologist Yard Diamond points out one simple fact: different continents had different shapes. At first glance, this statement seems rather obvious and unimportant. However, it turns out to have a profound impact on the human behavior. The primary axis of the America run from north to south. That is, the landmass of North and the South America tends to be tall and thin rather than wide and fat. The same is generally true to Africa. Meanwhile, the landmass that makes up Europe and Middle East, the massive stretch of land tends to be more east-west in shape. According to Diamond, this difference in shape played a significant role in the spread of agriculture over centuries. When agriculture began to spread around the globe, farmers had an easier time than north. This is because locations along the same latitude generally share similar climates, amounts of sunlight and rainfall, and changes in the season. These factors allowed farmers in Europe and Asia to domesticate few crops and grow them along the entire stretch of land from France to China. The primary axis of Europe and Asia is east-west. The primary axis of Americas and Africas is north-south. This leads to a wider range of climates up and down the Americas than across Europe and Asia. As a result, agriculture spread nearly twice as fast across Europe and Asia than did it elsewhere. The behavior of farmers, even across the hundreds of the thousands of the years, was constrained by the amount of friction in the environment. By comparison, the climate varies greatly when traveling from north to south. Just imagine how different the weather is in Florida compared to Canada. You can be the most talented farmer in the world, however, it won't help you grow Florida oranges in the Canadian winter. Snow is a poor substitute for soil. In order to spread crops along the north to south routes, farmers would need to find and domesticate new plants whenever the climate changed. As a result, agriculture spread 2 to 3 times faster across Asia and Europe than it did up and down the Americas. Over the span of centuries, this small difference had a very big impact. Increased food production allowed for more rapid population growth. With more people, these cultures were able to build stronger armies and were better equipped to develop new technologies. The changes started out small. A crop that spread slightly farther, a population that grew slightly faster, compounded into this substantial difference over the time. The spread of agriculture provides an example of the third law of the behavior change on a global scale. Conventional wisdom holds that the motivation is the key to habit change. Maybe when you really wanted it, you would actually do it. However, the truth is, our real motivation is to be lazy and to be what is convenient. And despite what the latest productivity bestseller will tell you, this is a smart strategy, not a dumb one. Energy is precious, and the brain is wired to conserve it whenever possible. It is human nature to follow the law of least effort, which states that when deciding between the two similar options, people will naturally gravitate towards the option that requires the least amount of work. For example, expanding your farm to the east where you can grow the same crops rather than heading north where the climate is different. Out of all possible actions we could take, the one that is realized is the one that delivers the most value for the least effort. We are motivated to do what is easy. Every action requires a certain amount of energy. The more energy required, the less likely it is to occur. When your goal is to do 100 push ups per day, that's a lot of energy. In the beginning, when you're motivated and excited, you can muster the strength to get started. However, after a few days, such a massive effort feels exhausting. Meanwhile, sticking to the habit of doing one push-up per day require almost no energy to get started. And the less energy a habit requires, the more likely it is to occur. Look at any behavior that fills up much of your life, and you will see that it can be performed with a low level of motivation. Habits like scrolling on your phones, checking email, and watching television steal so much of our time because they can be performed almost with they are remarkably inconvenient. In a sense, every bit is just an obstacle to getting what you really want. Dieting is an obstacle to getting fit. Meditation is an obstacle to feeling calm. Journaling is an obstacle to thinking clearly. You don't actually want the habit itself. What you really want is the outcome the habit delivers. The greater the obstacle, that is, the more difficult the habit, that is, the more friction there is between you and the desire and state. This is why it is crucial to make your habits so easy that you will do them even you don't feel like it. When you can make your good habits more convenient, you will more likely to follow through on them. However, what about the moments when we seem to do the opposite? When we are all so lazy, then how to explain people accomplishing hard things like raising a child, starting a business, or climbing Mount Everest? Certainly, you are capable of doing very hard things. The challenge is that some days you feel like doing the hard work and some days you feel like giving in. On the tough days, it's crucial to have as many things as working in your favors as possible so that you can overcome the challenges of life naturally throws your way. The less friction you face, the easier it is for you to stronger self to emerge. The idea behind make it easy is not only do easy things, the idea is to make it as easy as possible in the moment to do things that pay off in the long run. We're going to take a break of 2 minutes and we're going to start reading with the how to achieve with less effort. How to achieve more with less effort? Imagine you are holding a garden hose that is bent in the middle. Some water can flow through, not very much. When you want to increase the rate at which water passes through the hose, you have two options. The first option is to crank up the valve and force more water out. The second option is to remove the bend in the hose and let water flow through naturally. Trying to pump up your motivation to stick with a hard habit is like trying to force water through a bent nose. You can do it. However, it requires a lot of effort and increase the tension in your life. Meanwhile, making your habits simple and easy is like removing the bend in the hose. Rather than trying to overcome the friction in your life, you reduce it. One of the most effective way to reduce friction associated with your habit is to practice the environment design. In chapter 6, we discussed environment design as a method for making cues more obvious. However, you can also optimize your environment to make actions easier. For example, when deciding where to practice a new habit, it is best to choose a place that is already along the path of your daily routine. Habits are easier to build when they fit into the flow of your life. You are more likely to go to the gym when it is in your way to work because stopping does not add much friction to your life. By comparison, when the gym is off the path and of your normal commute, even by just few blocks, you are going out of your way to get there. Perhaps even more effective is reducing the friction with your home office. Too often, we try to start habits in high friction environments. We try to follow a strict diet while we are out to dinner with friends. We try to write books in chaotic household. We try to concentrate while using smartphone filled with distractions. It does not have to be this way. We can remove the point of friction that hold us back. This is precisely what electronics manufacturer in Japan began to do in 1970s. In an article published in the New York titled Better All the Time, James Surveki writes, Japanese firms emphasize what comes to be known as the lean production, relentlessly looking to remove waste of all kinds from the production process down to redesigning workspaces so that workers don't have to waste time twisting and turning to reach their tools. The result was that the Japanese factories were more efficient and Japanese products were more reliable than American ones. In 1974, service calls for American-made color television were 5 times as common as for Japanese televisions. By 1979, it took American workers 3 times as long as possible to assemble their sets. I like to refer to this strategy as addition by subtraction. The Japanese companies looked for every point of friction in the manufacturing process and eliminated it. As they subtracted and wasted efforts, they added customers and revenues. Similarly, we can remove the point of friction that sap our time and energy, and we can achieve more with less effort. In brackets, this is the one reason tidying up can feel so good. We are simultaneously moving forward and listening lightening the cognitive load of our environment places on us. When you look at the most habit forming products, you will find that one of the things these goods and services do best is remove little bits of friction from your life. Meal delivery service reduces the friction of shopping for groceries. Dating app reduces the friction from making social introductions. Riding sharing services reduces the friction of getting across town. Text messaging reduces the friction of sending a letter in the email. Why not? Why not? When the first voice activated speakers, I apologize for that. When the first voice activated speakers were released, products like Home, Google Home, Amazon Echo, and Apple HomePod, I asked a friend what he liked about the product he had purchased. He said it was just easier to say, play some country music, than to pull out his phone, open the music app, and pick a playlist. Of course, just a few years earlier, having unlimited access to music in your pocket was a remarkably frictionless behavior compared to driving to the store and buying a CD. Business is never-ending quest to deliver the same results in an easier fashion. Similar strategies have been used effectively by governments. When the British government wanted to increase the tax collection rates, they switched from sending citizens to a web page where the tax form could be downloaded to linking directly to the form. Reducing that one step in the process increased the response rate from 19.2% to 23.4%. For a country like United Kingdom, those percentages points represent millions in tax revenues. The central idea is to create an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible. Many of the battle of building better habits comes down to finding ways to reduce the friction associated with our good habits and increase the friction associated with our bad ones. This concludes the reading of this session. And I'm not gonna, there are gonna be no shares today as we don't have any other members besides me. And I would like to thank you everybody who's came. I'm really eager to live a better life and this group has made it possible. This group give me more chances to fail and I endure failures. I'm really grateful that I read this session today with my higher power and with myself. Let's get some prayer going today. Let's get some prayer on. Let me find a prayer which I can say before concluding this session for today. Okay, I call this prayer as the luxury of will. And this is the prayer that seeks the will of the God for me. And today allow me to to be protected, directed, and corrected. It goes like this. Holy Father, allow me the luxury of your will. I'm going to shoot, and I'm going to shoot to kill. Allow me the luxury of your will. I know you for real, and today I carry your look and feel. I'm a man of commitment. I'm a man of commitment. I am the man who rocked their word. Allow me to carry the luxury of your will. When I rise today, word is going to come, and word is going to come to still. Father, today I have my party shoes on. Thank you, everybody.